Hey guys, Brad from RotoHeat back at it with another 2020 player outlook. This time we're talking Todd Gurley, running back, Atlanta Falcons. And don't forget, if you've been enjoying all this amazing free content here on YouTube from the RotoHeat.com team, subscribe, hit that like, get that notification icon so you can stay up to date. We're going to be live streaming 5 nights a week starting here in the next few weeks. So if you want to know what's going on, you want all that great fantasy information, and you want it for free, hit us up.
Everything's on fire. Everything's on fire. Everything's on fire.
All right, so Todd Gurley went from Dynasty Darling to Dynasty Outhouse. You know, people have such a hard time pegging his kind of long-term outlook because of the knees and you know, when he had a down 2019 season and his yards per carry were lower. I think this couldn't have been a better move for him. You know, he stayed for the most part healthy in 2019. He did not produce great, but you know, look at that offensive line in LA with the Rams. Who's really going to be all that great behind an offensive line that bad? I mean, you know, Cam Akers had practice at Florida State, so he might be all right, but Gurley went to a much better situation in Atlanta. You know, he's got a much better offensive line in front of him. That offense as a whole is just so dynamic. You know, all the playmakers on the outside, obviously, you know, and they had that with the Rams. But that offensive line is going to be huge. You know, they've got a pretty solid tight end who can block, who can be a receiver. So, you know, there's a lot of different reasons to like what Todd Gurley is going to get in this move to Atlanta. So when we're talking about his value overall, you know, he's most likely an RB1 at least this year, probably next year. It really depends on how long the Falcons keep him around. You know, if you're into the Devy side of things and you're seeing what's going on in college with all these running backs and seeing how the NFL's kind of mistreating the running back position, Gurley may only be with them for, you know, another year, maybe two. You know, but if you're a contender, this is the guy that you want to get on your team because he's going to give you weekly startable numbers, and they're probably going to be RB1 numbers on a weekly basis. You know, there's a lot to like about his game. There's some things that we're concerned about. Obviously, you know, the injuries or potential is there, and it's higher than some other running backs, but I'm okay with taking that risk because of the talent, because of the value, because of the position. You know, think about Atlanta last year. If they'd have just had a healthy, viable RB1, how good that would have been for fantasy. You know, Devonta Freeman was having injury issues, and what's behind him isn't all that great. So, you know, I think the sky's the limit for Gurley this year. Definitely this year, probably next year. You know, if you are... So at this point in the video, we talk about the value. What are you willing to trade him for? What are you willing to trade to get him? I want, you know, if I'm thinking rookie pick, so you're a team that's rebuilding and you need to sell pieces, this is a perfect asset to sell. He's in a great situation to get you a really good return. If I'm trading him, I'm probably asking for, and this is going to depend on your roster makeup. So, you know, don't quote me specifically, you know, but if you're a team that is really in bad shape and you've been selling pieces to rebuild, I want a top 10 first and something young or another pick to go with it. You know, so if you can get, you know, the 1.7, 1.8 in next year's draft class, or the, you know, somewhere between the 1.5 and the 1.10, and a young wide receiver, or you know, an early second or something. You know, even if somebody offers you, you know, the 1.5 and 2.5, or the 1.626, 1.727, something like that, I would definitely be jumping on that. You know, obviously, if you're in a bigger league, you know, I have my home league is 16 teams. I want more than that, you know, because 16 teams, that's a whole lot of roster spots. You know, if you're in a 12-team league, maybe things look a little different. Maybe you're getting a first in the mid to late second, or a first in a young player of some sort at a position that you like. If you're in Superflex, you know, maybe you can flip him for a young quarterback for somebody who's contending, who has an extra, you know, extra couple quarterbacks that maybe they're willing to move one to really lock up that running back. So if you're trading to get him, you know, you're probably going to have to pay a premium because this is the best spot he's been in some time. You know, there have been questions about him in LA for the last 2 years. Been concerns and injuries and the lack of production. So his value is probably the highest it's going to be potentially right now for the rest of his career, unless you get in season and he's really blowing up. Maybe it'll go up some, but probably not a whole lot. So the time to buy, or the time to sell is now. The time to buy probably would have been 2 months ago, or something like that. But if you're a contender, and you're willing to move your first and a second, and the owner that has him is willing to do it, why not? Those are the things you have to think about as you're building your roster. What does that look like for you? What are you willing to give? What are you willing to sell it for? Those are the types of things you have to think about, and don't be afraid to make that move. I've seen too many guys sit on a player like a Gurley or a DJ and lose value on him, and then sell him when he's just not as valuable. If you are thinking about selling him, perfect time to sell is now or early into the season when he's blowing up, if you're not a contender. So let us know in the comments what you think about Todd Gurley. The team here's kind of in the middle on him. Some of us are willing to sell, some of us want to hold, some of us are fairly kind of in the middle on that. So let us know in the comments here on YouTube. Hit us up over on Twitter, RotoHeat Fantasy, or RotoHeat.com, or our Discord, or our Facebook group. Anywhere we're at, hit us up. Let us know what you think. Ask questions. Send us messages. Don't feel free to DM us. We got plenty of great people here that are going to answer your questions and help you make your dynasty a success.
Also, right there, playlist. Hit it. Watch the videos. Do it. You want to. Do it.